Bible says in Romans chapter 8 and verse 6, to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Wow, that's some deep stuff already on the program we're getting started with. My name is Charles Vance. I'm along with Chief Strategist Terry Sacka. You want to preach or you want to talk about money today?
You know what? Well, we say biblical principles and global economics, but you know, it's strong because I think it's the important part of getting that. It's the carnally minded. We say we're not carnally minded, but yet we pay attention to the information systems of the world that's controlled by Satan. So where are we going here with this?
And the word carnal means to be flesh. So we feed our flesh, or we feed our senses. He said that creates death, and that word death is referring to a spiritual separation from God, not living in the, Paul put it in Ephesians chapter 4, he put it to be alienated from the life of Christ. So he said we're not experiencing what God wants us to experience when everything is focused on what pleases the flesh, or how the flesh can be soothed or tingled or whatever the case may be.
And you know, Charles, this is important. I think this is so important. We, the people in the body of Christ, we have to understand that if we're walking carnally minded, then we're experiencing the stimulation, we're getting our education from the systems of the world. Then how are we, now we can understand maybe why we are not walking in levels of prosperity, healing, and health. Our faith system is a little kind of warped. We think it's right, but we're parking a portion of our spirit there, but yet the dominance of us, our being, is in the system of the world. Our information intake is system of the world.
Let me be a little facetious. You actually think that the news media would tell us something that's not correct?
Charles, I tell you, not only is it not correct, it's flat out deception, deceiving.
Go on, just say it's a bunch of lies.
Oh no, it's beyond lies, absolutely. And who comes to steal, kill, and destroy but the thief and the devil? And there's no doubt that media is not giving people the truth. And I'm telling you, we are going to see over the next probably few weeks statistics and information, data graphs that are absolute, true, factual information of the global system, the economic system, shadow statistics that they're not showing you. And I do understand they're doing it because, you know, they're trying to make things okay. But remember, we're not here to make things okay and then have a collapse.
Right.
2008 was just the beginning. We have actually set up a house of cards, a glass house of cards, that is going to be far more dangerous than 2008.
What's taking place in the economy right now? Because this program was within a week of airing, and there's just some odd things that are taking place. First of all, gold and silver is down just a little bit. Is that correct?
And we talked about that last week, a couple weeks ago. Gold and silver is down, but don't be fooled. The price is down because it's controlled by the futures exchange, which is supposed to be physical, but it's not. The banks are selling large contracts.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean?
I mean, where the price is set is in the market system called the futures, where it's a commodity market exchange where a producer who mines the silver and gold can sell a contract for delivery of that actual silver and gold at a certain date.
Before it exists?
Well, no, it exists, so you can't sell it, but they're selling it as they're mining it out of the ground. As a farmer takes his corn out of the field, he sells it into the marketplace, and then you take delivery. One silver contract is actually 5,000 ounces of silver for delivery. So if I buy a future silver's contract and wait, I can expect demand of 5,000 ounces.
Physical silver?
Physical silver, yeah. They'll be in 1,000-ounce bars probably, right? It's industrial, and that's a lot of industry uses that. Unfortunately, as we saw in the collapse of the housing market, things known as derivatives, which are just made up pieces of paper investments, packing real estate into boxes and selling them to Wall Street, that's why we collapse in housing. Commodities, they're doing the same thing now. I think it's downright wrong and unethical, but they do. And what's happening is they're selling gold and silver on paper that they don't have for delivery.
Now, who allows that to take place? Because that's not, I mean, that,
No, that's...
if we did that, we get in trouble for
No,
that.
we can't do that. Matter of fact, if I try to sell something I don't have, I'm in trouble.
Sure.
But they can do that because they're part of the system. And the system being the global system.
So it's the global economic system.
It's the central banking
Okay.
system, fiat system.
Okay.
Fiat. And as
Which
we
just
showed,
means it's fake.
it means it's fake. And as we showed in the past with the Romans, how they went from how we showed the hard assets to the fiat, and you saw how fiat Western systems are collapsing. Don't think it's not coming to an end shortly. Well, and I mean shortly.
There's physically nothing existing. It's simply a bunch of paper. It's like me writing on a piece of paper that this is worth 25 houses, and I don't have 25 houses.
That's it.
Or this is worth $5 million, and I don't have $5 million. And you accept it.
Yes.
And you know what? And I think we've talked about this a little bit, but the legal tender law,
right.
You know, probably everybody's read that on money when they're bored at one time or another. There's notice legal tender for all debts, public and private. There's actually a law on the books of the federal government that requires people to take paper money for debts, all debts, public and private, to exchange it for debts.
Do you know what they call this in the asset class? They call that a tier 1. Okay, it's known as a tier 1 asset, just tier 1. Now, here's what's interesting. Bonds are tier 1. Government issued bonds, an IOU $1 million. It's a tier 1 asset. Do you know in January of 2013, gold was made a tier 1 asset?
Which means what?
It's money. It's not an investment. It's money. And it's done because of something called Basel III, which means it was a global financial agreement that we started with Dodd-Frank. And what they're saying is every bank in the world has to have a percentage of gold to back up the debt in the holdings they have in the bank.
But they're not doing that, are they?
No, well, yeah, they have to. Basel III compliant is, but that's what's going on.
So you're telling me my little local bank here in West Virginia is required to carry physical gold? They're required to have some physical gold on.
They have to have tier 1 asset backing up.
Now, can it be paper asset?
It could be money, paper money.
Oh, tier 1 asset. So it could be gold or paper money.
Yeah, but Basel III actually says a percentage of gold. And so
banks are not doing that. You can't go to the bank and get gold, can you?
No, you can't do it. But what it is, and matter of fact, I don't even think they have it in the vault.
Well, I don't believe they do either.
No, it's in the Federal Reserve vaults, which, by the way, I don't even believe is theirs.
So they're saying we've got your gold on deposit here in the Federal Reserve vault. Well, that's what they've told us for years, isn't it?
We will hold it for you.
That's like the Fort Knox thing.
Right.
That nobody has seen any physical gold there for years.
Do you know why? You can understand why Venezuela has demanded their gold back. Why Germany just demanded all their gold come back from the reserve. Think of everybody who's asking for their gold back. Texas said they want their gold back. Texas, they know what's coming. That's why. So the globe is positioning gold as the asset, a tier 1 asset, and it's going to impact you. And you don't realize it. So the price of gold going down right now is by design. They want the price down so low that you, the people, don't put faith and trust in it as a money source, and you take your paper money and put it in other investments, hence the stock market. And that's what we're going to get into today a little bit. I'm going to show you some things you're going to be quite surprised on. But the market system, as Charles was saying, what's going on today, we are seeing the stock market rally pretty good. It has rallied for a while. But we're printing $85 billion a month. They say they're going to stop that. They're not. They can't. And not yet. They say, well, we're raising interest rates soon. I've had bankers. You were mentioning bankers talking about they can't raise the interest rates. You will have on our bond debt an explosive payment we can't pay.
You talk about the government's bond debt.
The government's bond debt.
The Federal Reserve banking system, I hope everybody knows this that's watching us, that the government does not own the banking system.
Right.
They don't own the currency. The Federal Reserve Bank owns the currency, which is connected to the World Bank, which is and the IMF, which is a worldwide network of monetary.
We're going to get into that.
Fake money.
Yes, but what we're going to get into here in a few weeks is a little bit about the central bank that's the central bank of the central banks. You see what they're doing? Printing bonds to support bonds, to buy bonds. It's fake buying fake buying fake.
So it's like kiting checks.
Oh, there's no doubt it's a kite check
And
scenario.
no, you have to be 50 or older to understand what kiting checks is.
Well, but you know, from the people's point of view, how is that going to impact you? And what we want to show you today is why the dollar is going to be compromised in the future. Who's behind it? And the currency wars we're involved in, you have to understand what is true and what is not. So when we get into the scriptures of the carnally minded, we're saying that because we must get into the Word, get the Word into us. Abide in me, I abide in you. If you get the Word into you, you will see truth from a different perspective. Charles and I were talking this morning before we got going, and then, you know, here we are tonight kind of broadcasting this, and we're saying we realize one thing that seems to be a tribulation upon the Christians is we become more discerning in the spirit of the world, and we realize how evil and wicked the world is. Do I have to point up the news for 5 minutes to see the horridness against our children, against the church, against the body of goodness and body of Christ? So what we have to do is know that if that is going on, why do you think your finances are true? Why do you think the systems of money is true? And the reason it is important, you've saved your life 30, 40 years, life savings are in the world system and paper, especially with the markets going right now. Oh, we got to be in the markets. We just before we get going on this, I just want people to know, if you have IRAs and 401k type of retirements you want to protect, this is long-term stuff. If you want to be in a proper hard asset, register for information there on the website or give us a call, the 800 number. We'll send free information. It's excellent information on giving you the global economics and why you would want to have a diversified
Terry,
portfolio.
I want to mention a couple things. Your company, Cornerstone Asset Metals, you just opened another office in Raleigh. Is that North Carolina?
Yeah, Raleigh, North
Carolina. You're still in Jupiter, Florida as well.
Yes, absolutely.
So we're just seeing some expansion, some growth. Yes. But you guys are precious metal dealers, and in addition to dealing in precious metals, and you've told people this, you don't have to buy stuff from you. That's not what this program is.
Get it somewhere.
It's really an information. This is a program to give people information to make some decisions that are good decisions.
Want them to get into God's money is what we're trying to help people understand.
Yeah, and we've been talking, and I think this is important to tell people again. I had somebody ask me the other day, so, well, what would you invest in? If you can't invest in the stock market, I said, anything that God made. Yeah. If God made it, it's a good investment.
Yeah, and people don't understand this. Yeah, they think that this is an investment. They've already said that it's money. They've made it a tier 1 asset. This is money. They're selling this on paper to bring these prices down for a reason. And we got into some of it last week. They don't have it. But what's getting ready to go on, folks, this stuff is being accumulated around the world. There's shortages around the world in refineries. It's getting difficult to get this stuff. Soon it will. I have a feeling when it flips around, which it's coming, these prices are going to explode because the paper money system is going to be compromised. And if you don't believe where we're going, let's get into a little bit of the action on this, because I think you're going to like what we have to see.
Let me stop you for a second. I just want people to know, because I talk with people. Kelly and I own some real estate. We own some silver, a little bit of gold. We talk to people about investing in tangible assets. We tell people they need to do that stuff. We've told people, I've told people for years, you need to refinance your house and get a fixed rate on a low rate. I've known people that had 12% interest rate that said they were afraid to do anything to refinance their home when they could be paying probably 2 or 3% now. And there's a lot of people that live in fear of changing anything because the world system teaches people you don't want to do that. I remember working for a couple guys when I first got out of high school. I told them I was going to get into the construction business, start a construction business with my brother, and they said, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when it gets cold outside? It was like, you need to keep working for us. I was making $270 every 2 weeks, bring home, and I was working 52 hours a week. I was working 104 hours. They were controlling me.
Yes, you just said it.
They wanted to do that to keep me there.
Yes.
To put fear in me.
Yes.
That if you do something besides work for me, something bad could happen.
If you do something besides put your faith in this,
something bad could happen.
Come on. They've been controlling us for a long time, people. This is ours. We, the people of the United States. This is dollar in Greek, grains of silver, grains of gold. Thayer is the word. We were a hard asset. We were a great nation of wealth. We are so in debt with baby boomers. I'm talking 60 trillion in obligations we're going to need over the next 10 years plus, and we don't have the money to pay. Something's coming, and I contend it's coming soon, and we've got to get protected in order to do that. You know what? I can't do it because I know what they're doing with this.
Well, and I know what they're doing with it. You know, I've done financial seminars for the last 3 years around this country and in other countries, and people don't know what's going on.
Let's show this right now to help you understand. We're going to open it up here. Now, this is going to be a video, folks. It's called the Gold Standard video. Not that I'm saying we're probably going to a gold standard, because it may be very difficult to do, although if we did, gold would be well over $10,000 an ounce. And I do contend that something's coming in the system, though, where gold is going to play a major part of it as a basket of currency, and gold and silver are going to be extremely valuable because it's the only thing they can't fake. And so that's why they're trying to keep it down, because they're accumulating it worldwide. Because they print money out the front door, they're bringing gold in the back door. More silver was bought last month than all months combined at the beginning of the year. It is exploding around the world, but yet the prices are down. So you're being kind of tricked. But we want to show this video now. It's about 2 minutes, but it's very informative. So really sit back and watch this video, and then I'll explain quickly why that's important for your retirement. And understanding this is going to be your benefit in how to protect and preserve your assets. You can go ahead and
For
play.
decades, our country's monetary system was based on what is called the gold standard. This helped our nation thrive during the Industrial Revolution and made us the center of economic power that we are today, even making the dollar the world's reserve currency. What a gold standard represented was that our money meant something. It wasn't just a piece of paper with some ink printed on it. Prior to 1971, the dollar was on the gold standard, which simply meant that every single dollar had a portion of gold stored at the U.S. Treasury. A dollar was essentially a gold certificate, or a claim on gold. Only a certain amount of money could be printed according to how much gold we had in reserves at the U.S. Treasury. However, on August 15, 1971, due to pressures from the central banks and an expansion in government, President Nixon claimed he was going to temporarily suspend the U.S. gold standard.
I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States.
They led the American people to believe that the suspension of the gold standard was a temporary measure that Washington had to take, while fully understanding that this abolishment would be permanent. From this point on, the dollar wasn't tied to gold anymore, and it became what is referred to as a floating currency, or a fiat currency. Now, with nothing constraining its creation, our money supply exploded and all bets were off. Our currency was now prisoner to a few elite banking institutions that could create money as they deemed necessary. Abolishing the gold standard was the last hurdle for the financial elite to overcome. From here on out, the money poured in for the top 1% of our country and changed the course of America forever. This destroyed the value of our currency for the majority of us, while a small percentage made fortunes.
Now, the loss of that dollar value is unbelievable. The world in 1950, the world's money was 90% the American dollar. This was the world's money in 1950, 90%.
No, you're saying the world used our money
to
do business with internationally.
For trading, for everything. That's why we were so explosive and prosperous back in the day. Today, 15%. 15% is all our dollar is worth. The euro, all these other currencies are coming into play. I'm saying if we're printing what you just saw, trillions and trillions more paper dollars, and all these other currencies are coming into play, and don't think for a second the Chinese are not vowing for a world reserve currency status to take over one day, and we're going to show you why. That when that happens, and you saw the explosion of the printing of money that just happened recently, The key word where it was, they said it was temporary. Just like Social Security, they said it was voluntary and now it's mandatory. They cannot not be trusted with your hard-earned savings. You pay the taxes, you do what you have to for them, give Caesar's what's Caesar's, but for your savings, your family's inheritance to your children's children, maybe you better think about what God says about it. Because that printing of money is going to destroy your retirement, your IRA within years. I contend in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see explosive inflation when the velocity of money takes place.
So Nixon said that this is a temporary...
And it's obviously been permanent.
Yeah, disconnecting our money, printing of money, to the gold standard. So there was a reserve of gold,
correct,
in a vault somewhere,
yes,
that the banking system had to keep relative to the amount of money they printed.
That's right.
And when he disconnected that, they just started printing money like crazy.
Yes.
And worldwide, it caused our money, and even here,
yes,
as far as exchanging.
Gasoline, 10 cents to $4.
And that's what people don't realize, that when, like this piece of silver is still a piece of silver. And when you keep printing a whole bunch of money and you have nothing to connect it to, the money it's like slicing a pie. You got 8 pieces of pie, well, we need 16 pieces of pie. So we'll just keep cutting the pie.
Well, you're going to go hungry soon, right?
After a while, you're going to go hungry, and there's nothing there to back up. I mean, after a while, you're going to get a crumb.
That's what we're trying to say. You work 30 and 40 years for your savings. 30, 40 years, and you have a lot in there. It's your savings. I'm saying be properly diversified in what God has given you. It's not so easy to go out and own oil fields and gas wells and all this type of stuff, but that's not it. The reason I think we like silver and gold the most, number one, it was our money. It's God's money, Haggai 2:8, gold mine, silver mine. But it was what America was originally. So we're going back to the root of who we are. More importantly, if you just would have been doing it all along, you'd be millionaires today. Mm-hmm. And if you engage now, we haven't even begun. I say we're in the 3rd inning. So I'm saying if you have, for your protection point of view, you work your life off. So if you're going to work your life for this, they can do the inflation and they can do all this finagling and all this funny stuff. But are you going to risk your retirement, your quality of life, children, inheritance to your children's children? I'm saying be properly diversified. If you want the information, it's free to show you how and why to do that with your IRA. It's actually almost no cost to roll over. Just have to buy the metal if you do that. But we'll send a free package out to you. Register on that website there or give us a call on the free 800 number, and we'll send it out to you so you can at least be educated in making these decisions.
Terry, there's a lot of people that still are in the dark about what went on in Cyprus a few weeks back.
This is why this is kind of becoming really big, because Cyprus, they basically went in and confiscated people's savings.
Who did?
The government. So the EU, European Union, forced the government of Cyprus to go in and take a percentage of everybody's money. It was like a big tax.
Because the government was...
They were bankrupt.
They were bankrupt.
They couldn't pay the interest on their debt. We, the people, the United States, I don't think we understand that our Federal Reserve is not part of our government, by the way. They bought 75% of the bonds we issue. We're running into trouble. And
so they're buying it with fake money.
Not only are they buying it with fake money, Charles, they're buying it and no one else is. And I'm saying what's happening is China, everyone says, oh, China, there's this relationship. What you don't understand is China's been giving us money for a long time to the tune of trillions. If you're going to keep giving something to somebody, aren't you going to want a collateral sooner or later? Chinese are buying up. We're going to get into some later episodes and explain what they're doing, but you'd be surprised how deep they're in our country, owning us and our gold. Let's go to this one first. Now, this is what's getting important here. Is you said what's going on. The stock market has been taking off. Yes, I contend be cautious. Something called parabolic, meaning it's going to go straight up quick. Billionaires are getting out of the stock market at record rate. Watch out what you see on TV and be cautious. All your money in the stock market. Look at image number 1. That's a parabolic look on the stock market. Look how it's ran from left to right. That red line, that's what's going to happen shortly. And it's going to go overnight. You can take that off. That is going to go overnight. Now, when that market corrects, it's going to correct overnight and you think you're going to sell out in time, it's going to correct just like this. So everything you're gaining in a small percentage now can literally be wiped out, lost, and be negative just like 208 in no time. So we're saying, why are you in a major portion of your retirement and your future in one place and not in a physical, private hard asset, not part of the system? Now go to image the 1.5 there, and I'm just going to do this quickly. We've shown this before. This is a Dow gold ratio. And those 3 peaks and valleys and the red lines frame it out. That's a 200-year image of our money system. The consistent front half there is when we were on gold. Those 3 major gyrations are when we started doing the fiat money like that video showed you. That red line, that will take place. We just don't know when. I contend over the next few years. Now, that means, by the way, that red line, when it's down, that means the stock market and gold will be equal in price sooner or later. Where that is, I'm saying $5,000, $6,000 an ounce gold.
Those things are getting dramatic the
farther you go up the chart. Higher highs and whooping lows. All I'm saying is we printed trillions. Trillions. That's why this stock market's up. This stock market's not real. Why are companies, Walmart, Target, all across the board showing lower numbers and lower numbers? This is not real. You got to be careful of information from the world system. Get into the Word. Abide in Him, He abide in you. Get into prayer to find out what's true. Get protected with some hard assets. You should definitely own them because you can pass it down to your children's children. Nobody can touch them, and we will at least give you information and guide you on that process. Now, if you don't believe that the world system is getting ready to change and this currency war is not real, look at image number 2, and I'll show you who's behind it. Right there. It's called the BRICS 5th Summit. Took place this year, March 2013. Those people, India, China, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, those were the leaders. And they were having a summit, and they forged an agreement to not do business with the U.S. dollar. That's a fact. And do image number 3 real quick, too. That's what's going on. They're going to continue to give us money, folks, but we're giving them the gold. And we just have to know why this is happening, and go to image number 4. This is big. That's the amount of money we're giving foreign banks. Trillions. The only reason the stock market's up is we're supporting the banks around the world. You can take that off. We're saying inflation, deflation, we'll get into it. I say both, but watch out, get protected, register on that website, give us a call. We'll send you out a free package to help you make those decisions.
Terry, next week we're going to get into some things that's going to be kind of mind-boggling. People need to definitely make sure you make a note. We're on at the same time.
DVR it.
DVR, that's the best way to catch it.
Yes.
We're going to be on at the same time next week. Tell somebody about the program. We would love to have you back. If you have any questions, you can call that toll-free number or register on the website. Make sure you join us right here for the Wealth Transfer next week. We'll see you then.